Hello, so I'm back again just to share today's practice. A little bit less emphasis on arm balances today, so I'm just not in the mood for those right now. So we will perhaps go for a more beginners to intermediate session. And again, we can just get started, as we always do, seated in a comfortable position for you. Just relaxing those shoulders down and away from the ears. So we create that space across the upper back, finding length and extension in the spine, and bring the fingertips down to the floor either side of the body. And so just noticing the thoughts, the feelings, perhaps the mind is rushing. And we just take a moment here to really find that sense of stillness, that sense of calm. And we can use the breath to guide us into this calm state of mind, really sending the breath to the center, feeling those internal abdominals engage lightly. Just using the breath to slow the body down, slow the mind down, finding a sense of stillness. And so, keeping connected to this breath, we begin to draw circles round. So we're opening and isolating through the spine. Almost think about stirring a pot with the belly button. So we open into the ribcage, come forwards, and then contract around the spine, come back. So really finding isolation, opening, working into that back. And then we can change the direction. So we bring those circles round the other way. Again, expand across the ribcage and draw back. And finding stillness and length in the spine. We inhale to lift our right arm and just take hold of the side of the head and gently open into the neck. So just creating that length through the trapezius. And release, same on the other side. So we lift left arm, just take hold of the side of the head and gently open into the neck. We release. Just bring the chin down towards the chest, creating that length through the top of the spine. And then coming slowly back up. Bring hands behind the body, the fingertips face forwards, the same direction as the toes. And then breathe in, just lift and float those hips up in line with the shoulders and the knees into a reverse tabletop. Releasing slowly down to the floor. And so we can readjust, finding our tabletop position. So hands are underneath those shoulders and knees are directly underneath the hips. From here we exhale to fold from the hips, opening into those shoulders, just creating that space in the spine into a child's pose. And we can walk the hands over slowly to the right hand side. So we work into the left side of the body, just creating that space. And again, bringing it back to centre, changing sides. We walk the hands over to the left hand side, just creating that length, that space into the right side of the body. And again, bringing it back to centre and press to lift back into table. Now from here we bend in both elbows and we bring the forearms down to the floor. We can leave the knees to the floor, or option to tuck the toes underneath and float those knees away, pressing hips up towards the ceiling in dolphin pose. Option to inhale, lift and float right leg towards the ceiling, keeping those hips squared. And release. Changing sides. As we inhale, lift and float left leg towards the ceiling. Again, we keep those hips squared. We release. We bring both knees down to the floor, pressing to lift back into table. And then again, lifting knees away from the floor, press hips up towards the ceiling. Maybe just releasing the head from side to side so we can shake the head as if we're saying no. And then nod the head as if we're saying yes. And then just finding stillness for a couple of breaths in downward facing dog. Again, working into those knees, lifting heels from the floor. Slowly bring the feet forwards towards the hands. The knees bend. Release those hips back again. Remember, as if we're sitting back in a chair, we roll slowly up through the spine. Shoulders relax. Inhale, we lift both arms up towards the ceiling first of all, sending fingertips up. Then exhale to release just the right arm. So it's as if we're being suspended by the fingertips of the left hand, just releasing right arm down. And then we draw back to centre and change sides. So exhale to release left arm down, just opening into the right side of the body. Again, as if we're being suspended by those fingertips. Making sure we're going straight to the side of the body, we're not coming too far forwards or back. And then again we lift slowly up. This time as we exhale, we draw the elbows and the hands apart, and we open and dome through the ribs, coming into a gentle back bend. We can keep the arms as they are, or maybe bring the hands to the lower back and just press a little bit further, but it's quite tempting to hold the breath here. So try to keep breathing and keep those shoulders relaxed. Slowly up. Interlace fingers. Inhale, draw shoulders back and down, open and dome through those ribs. And this time exhale, come forwards, keeping heels to the floor and the knees are soft. And again, we can begin to restack the vertebrae, lifting away from the floor. And so again, bringing feet close together, spreading toes down into the floor, shoulders are relaxed, opening palms forwards, Tadasana, mountain pose. We inhale, lifting arms. And exhale, hinge to come forwards from the hips. Uttanasana, our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale to release. The knees soften and we step to a lunge first and then into a high plank. From high plank, bring both knees to the floor and exhale to bend in the elbows, drawing up with the centre. We inhale to lift into baby cobra, so just slightly off the floor, strengthening and supporting the muscles in the mid-back. And then exhale, release. Inhale, we press to lift into table first, then exhale, tuck the toes and lift up and back into down dog. So again, the knees soften, the heels lift, either walking the feet in slowly, or we step to a lunge, and then forward fold. Inhale, lift, float arms up, bring palms together. Exhale, bring hands down through the heart center. Inhale, we lift. Keep palms together. Exhale, draw hands down. Hinge, come forwards. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, release. Again, we find our high plank. And either bring knees to the floor or the weight comes forwards. For a full chaturanga, we hover. Inhale, lift. Cobra or up dog. And then exhale, lifting either into table or coming up and back into a downward dog. This time, inhale, lift to float right leg towards the ceiling. Those hips stay squared. And exhale, bend right knee, bring the weight forwards. Plant right foot to the floor. Then also bring back knee to the floor, tuck the toes, keep the weight forwards. And inhale, lift and float both arms up towards the ceiling. So we're drawing shoulders down and away from the ears. And just make sure this knee is directly above the ankle, so we're not rolling too far forwards or back, keeping everything aligned, the hips are squared. Just sending that energy up and out through the fingertips in low crescent moon lunge. And so we release, we frame that front foot, hands either side. And as we inhale, first of all, we lengthen through the spine, lifting the upper body. And then exhale to press those hips back. We round in the spine, come away from that front foot, half split. Just come to wherever feels comfortable for you. We're trying to hover the hips above the back heel. Again, breathe in to come forwards, lifting the upper body. Exhale, press those hips back, round the spine, hovering hips above the back heel. Last time, breathe in to come forwards. And then exhale, sending those hips back, we round the spine, half splits. Inhale, come forwards. This time tuck the toes, lift back, knee away from the floor. And from this deep lunge, we work back heel down, keep the feet quite far apart. So there's quite a distance between those feet in pyramid pose. Maybe sending the hands back towards the left foot. An option to turn those hands round and bring the heel of the hands towards the floor. Remember to keep breathing, grounding those feet. Fingertips face forwards. Hands come forwards, the knees soften, stepping those feet in. As we inhale again, we lift both arms. Bring palms together above the head. And exhale, hands to the heart center. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, hinge. Following those hands into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to release, the knees bend, coming back into a high plank. We can either go for full chaturanga or bring knees to the floor, but we always want to keep this extension in the spine as we come down. So we're never collapsing. Everything is lifted and strong, so we can have that extension before we open into the spine, coming into a full cobra. Remember, slight bend in those elbows, shoulders relax. And we exhale. We can lift either into table, so there's always an option to keep the knees to the floor, or toes tuck underneath, and we float into our downward dog. This time, inhale, lift and float left leg towards the ceiling, those hips are squared. And then we exhale to bend the left knee, round the spine, and plant that left foot to the floor. Also bring right knee down, tuck the toes. Inhale, float both arms up, keeping that knee in line with the ankle, relaxing the shoulders down, and send the energy out through those fingertips. Staying with that breath. And then again we can release the hands to frame the front foot. And as we breathe in, again we find that length, that extension in the spine. And as we breathe out, press hips back. Just come to where it feels comfortable for you. Round the spine. And we're staying active in this stretch. So try not to collapse. We stay lifted, we stay strong. Breathe in, come forwards. Keep the muscles, particularly in the right leg, engaged. Exhale, press hips back, lengthening left leg. One more time. Breathe in, come forwards. And then exhale, press hips back. We support that left leg by keeping the muscles in that right leg engaged. Building that strength. Inhale, come forwards. Then tuck toes underneath, lift back knee away from the floor. We work back, heel down, keeping those feet quite far apart in pyramid pose.
option, we send the hands back towards the right foot and again turn the hands round, bringing the heel of the hands to the floor. Fingertips face forwards, hands either side of the foot, and we step those feet in, forward fold. Inhale, the arms lift. Exhale, drawing hands, heart center. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hinge to come forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, release. Coming back again into a high plank. And we can always bring those knees down to the floor or keep the knees lifted for a chaturanga. Remember, we keep that extension until we press to open out. Cobra or up dog. Exhale either into tabletop or through tabletop or straight up and back into a downward dog. This time, inhale, lift to float right leg to the ceiling. And we're trying to open and stack the hips, bend into that right knee. So bring one hip on top of the other, the right knee bends. Let the weight of the right leg just fall towards that left-hand side. And then exhale, sweep this right leg through. And we plant the foot to the floor. Also bring left heel to the floor. And then windmill the arms, left and then the right, coming into a warrior two. So right knee bends the same direction as the toes. Left leg is extended and we relax those shoulders down. Try not to let the shoulders rise. Think about sending the energy out through the fingertips. Inhale, we turn the right hand to the ceiling. We reach over that right knee first of all. And then exhale to pull away from that right knee into a reverse warrior. Try to keep that right knee bent. And then we exhale to come back into a warrior two. And from here, extending this right leg, we bring the left foot in just a couple of small steps. We're closing that gap just slightly. We breathe in to reach forwards. And then exhale, bring right arm alongside that right leg. Left arm is lifted. Keep left shoulder and left hip drawn back in triangle pose. So again, we soften left knee. We can always readjust both feet if we need to. Right knee bends. Inhale, turn right hand to the ceiling, reach forwards. Exhale, pull away, reverse warrior. And then again, windmill the arms, right and then the left. Lifting left heel, stepping back, high plank. Either chaturanga or knees to the floor. As those elbows bend. Inhale, lift into a cobra or an up dog. And then exhale again into table. We can stay here. Or we come up and back into our downward dog. This time we lift and float left leg to the ceiling. Open and stack the hips. Bend in that left knee. And then sweep this left leg through. Planting left foot to the floor. Also bring right heel to the floor. And we windmill the arms, right and then the left. Into a warrior two on the other side. Left knee bends, arms extend, shoulders are relaxed. Inhale, we turn left hand to the ceiling, reach forwards over that left knee. And exhale, come away from that knee into a reverse warrior. bringing it back into a warrior two. And we bend left elbow. Let's extend left arm rather and extend left leg as well. Coming into triangle pose. So left arm is alongside that left leg. Right arm is lifted, fingertips towards the ceiling. In triangle pose. We're trying to keep everything in alignment here. So left foot faces forwards, right foot to the floor, as if we're stuck in between two panes of glass. And then again, softening that left knee. Press to lift back, warrior two. Inhale, turn left hand to the ceiling, reach forwards. Again, exhale to pull away into that reverse warrior. And then we wiggle those arms. Left and then the right. Lifting right heel. Stepping back. High plank. Bring knees to the floor. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, lifting to cobra. And then exhale, soften knees. And we come to sit to the heels this time. Lengthening the spine. And so we press to come up and out of the floor. Bring those hands just to the lower back, just above the glutes. And just begin to expand into the rib cage, taking a bit of a back bend here. You can stay here in camel pose. Maybe bring those hands down to the ankles, just so we can take a bit more of a deeper, more intense back bend. Really expanding across the rib cage. Sending that breath to the centre. Try not to bunch the shoulders so we can open into the shoulders as well. It's quite hard to speak in this pose. And then we can lift. Softening in those knees, folding the hips. We open into the shoulders in child's pose. So from here we press to come forwards into table and then bend in those elbows, coming down to the floor. Either send the arms long if we have room, if not the elbows bend into cactus arms, preferably the arms are long. And so we lift just the right foot first of all and send that foot towards the left hand and just try to turn and look away from the foot that's moved. So we look over the right shoulder. And then bringing it back to centre and we change sides. So this time lifting left foot, send the foot towards the right hand and turn and look away over the opposite shoulder. And then bring it back to centre. And this time we just lift, send one arm through. Turn over onto the back. Both knees bend and we bring those feet quite close. And just let the knees fall away towards the floor. So we let gravity take the weight of the knees down. Opening those palms to the ceiling. And just letting go of any tension in the shoulders in Supta Baddha Konasana. And then slowly from here, draw those knees towards each other. Let both knees fall to one side, pressing to lift up, just to find a seated position. Again, relaxing those shoulders, fingertips to the floor. And we take a deep breath in through the nose as always, lifting those arms. Exhale out through the mouth, release. we breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. And relax. Namaste. Thank you.